Thank you all for being here today. My name is Sergeant Raymond Bush. I'm the Public Information Officer of the City of Fort Worth. We're here with Chief Halstead, the Chief of Police, and Sergeant Joe Loughman, the head of our homicide unit. First off, we would like to sincerely thank members of the media and the public for their patience during this investigation. Initially, we were unable to release very much information or very many details. This was done in order to ensure a more thorough and complete investigation. At this time, Sergeant Joe Loughman.
Good morning. On June 3rd, 2014, South Division officers were dispatched to a cutting call at 508 West Felix. Upon arrival, officers located one victim deceased on the floor in the living room with an apparent gunshot wound. Officers then located the second victim, deceased on the couch in the living room with once again what appeared to be a gunshot wound to the head. Officers then located the third victim, deceased in a bed located in the master bedroom of the residence. Victim 3 had apparent stab wounds to her upper torso. The cause and manner of death will be determined by the Tarrant County Medical Examiner's investigation or autopsies. All 3 victims were pronounced deceased by MedStar personnel on the scene. Homicide investigators received information that one of the victims had a ex-boyfriend by the name of Cedric. We were able to locate information about a Cedric Damon McGinnis Jr. His date of birth is 10/30 of 1991. We had police reports that listed him as the victim's ex-boyfriend. We made contact with Mr. McGinnis late last night, early this morning. He came to the office. We interviewed him. He initially did not want to speak to us in reference to his involvement in this crime. He later came back to our office and spoke with us again, and he did admit his involvement in the murder of the 3 women on 508 West Felix. McGinnis is currently in the Fort Worth jail on a $1.25 million bond. And I will pass it on to Chief Halstead.
Sir, could you spell your last name, please, sir?
Loughman. Yep.
Just for clarification before you leave, he later came back, meaning he was released, went to a cell, thought about it, came back, or what did you mean by that?
Mr. McGinnis was here voluntarily. He was not in custody. He was free to leave at any time. We took him back to a location. We were about to leave, and we saw some things that interested us, that we were interested in, I'm sorry. And we asked Mr. McGinnis if he would come back and talk with us a second time. And he agreed once again to come up here voluntarily.
Which victim is he the ex-boyfriend for?
I'd really rather not go into that right now.
As you can all imagine, this investigation, coupled with our still ongoing investigation, requires an extreme amount of patience on the community's part, any relatives of the family and our victims, but a sincere application of dedication of their investigation for our homicide unit as well as our patrol officers. And I just wanted to extend a thank you to all of them as well as our members of the media. We remained very restrictive on information because of the tragic events that were literally reported back to back that actually occurred within a week. And our homicide investigators still have a significant amount of work to do on this case. But the work is not done yet. We still have another unfortunate series of murders that occurred what we believe was a week prior. And I don't think our investigators have rested for the last 72 hours. We still need to focus some community input and information reference the murders at the 200 block of Sunset Lane. We really would like the media's assistance in publishing our Crime Stoppers information. That can be published at 817-469-TIPS That's 817-469-8477. You can also go online at www.469tips.com. But also, we do have Detective Thomas' phone number of 817-989-3317. I need to take a moment and say an appreciation to the hardworking men and women of this organization. As all of you can imagine, as well as many residents in our community, everyone's alert was extremely concerned when these unfortunate incidents were reported literally back to back. I want to stress that we have no relationship between these two incidents. I also want to stress that they appear to be extremely isolated. However, the public's information would be greatly beneficial because our goal, like all of these cases, is to work them through exhaustion so that we have a successful conclusion, and then we can bring anyone responsible for these to justice. And I wanted to thank y'all very much for your patience. It means a great deal to us. And I have not been briefed on anything referenced to the Sunset Lane case, and I also need to respect the desires of our investigators as well as Sergeant Loughman. We simply cannot release any more information reference our Sunset Lane investigation. But specifically, I would be remorse if I did not mention the participation of our detectives. That's Detective Cedillo, Detective Pate, Detective O'Brien, Detective Sullivan, Detective Barron, and of course Sergeant Joe Loughman. They have done an absolutely outstanding job. And please, as you saw last night and as I saw before I rested, the relatives and the members of this family, please pray for them because they are going through an extremely, extremely difficult time. Great.
We do sincerely thank everybody's participation. We do thank the media for being here. We do thank the public for their patience in this matter. And of course, we do feel for the families, and we would like to encourage the public to pray for their families in this difficult time. As the Chief and Sergeant Loughman pointed out, there's really not any new details we can release at this time about either one of these investigations. They have to be done in a certain manner, in a certain way, and they are continuing. And just as hard as they've worked on the case on Felix Street, they're working just as hard and just as diligently on the case on Sunset Lane. And with that, I thank everybody. Thank you very much.
Well, quick question. Sunset Lane, you mentioned you're looking for the public's assistance. What are you looking for, Tim?
Any kind of tips that anybody may have about any kind of activity that really might lead to good tips for the case. At this point, like I said, it's a continuing investigation, but neighbors are usually good sources of information, and anybody that may have known any of the victims that are involved, if they have any idea what could have happened or transpired. If we haven't spoken with those people yet, we may not be aware of who we need to look for. So anybody that has information, even if it might seem like a minor thing, if they can call our TIPS hotline and give us information, that would really be helpful to us in the investigation.
Sergeant, I know we asked this out of the scene on Sunset the day that y'all were out there. Is there anything that you can say to the public in regards to that? If you're asking for help, you're looking for someone, it would appear, and should the public be concerned in regards to safety?
The public should always be concerned about their own safety in a responsible manner. People should always be aware of their surroundings and should always pay attention to the people that in the areas they live in, they work at. Having said that, there's no reason so far we've shown in the investigation for a heightened sense of security either on Felix Street or on Sunset Lane. These appear to be two totally separate, isolated incidences that have nothing to do with each other.
Would you go so far as to say targeted?
These are two completely isolated incidences, and we have no reason to believe they have anything to do with one another.
Chief, do you have just a second to go back in front of the mic for a second? You must be thrilled, obviously, that because having been out in that community this morning, and when everybody that lives within 5 miles of there is just scared to death that it was random, and so we got a chance to talk to some people, and they're obviously thrilled that it didn't appear to be quite that random, and that you have made an arrest. And so you just must be thrilled with the fast work in this situation with your department.
I am very, very pleased with the investigative diligence, but every single one of us, and I can't even express how hurt our crime scene investigators as well as our detectives are, because these scenes are horrific. They hurt you a lot as a human. But I also want to stress to a lot of our supporters and especially relatives of the victims, we do not stop on these investigations. And we will continue our investigative efforts for our other unsolved cases as well. But I wanted also our residents to rest very, very assured. Some of the most skilled investigators are on these cases, as well as following up on any and every possible lead, and that's why we're stressing the public's assistance.
Chief, how unusual is it to have this many murders in such a short span of time?
This is the first time I know of in 25 years in 2 different major cities. I do want to stress that it looks like the other one could have been a late reporting. It still does not change the fact that in this community, one of the safest major cities in the United States, it shocked all of us, and I know it shocked our residents. But I rest very, very confident that our employees will not rest or leave any stone unturned until they have a successful conclusion and exhaust all leads in any of these cases.
Speak to the attentive eye of your people that went back out to take him back after he came in, and then they took him back out to be that vigilant that they spotted something that they really could get his attention on. Just speak to the attentive eye of your officers.
Well, I wish I could speak to that, but without having a specific brief on those exact details, that'd be inappropriate. But I would like to stress something that Laura asked, and that is the public's assistance is any and everything that within that time frame appears to be suspicious, unusual, out of the ordinary, friends talking within the neighborhood. Crime Stoppers is 100% anonymous, and it funnels those tips directly to that investigator immediately, and that is very, very critical in this matter. Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.